welcome to my channel. Devin Rex for Art here, also known as Yolande. And it's actually September when I'm filming this, and this is for the September 2025 Maker's Collage prompt put out by Eddie Makes Art, and the prompt is faces. The sillier, the stranger, the better. And I was reminded of the Cyclops girl image transfer I did back in 2023. And I thought it might be fun to do some more Cyclops girls. So the big pictures are from Vogue, which usually work very well for image transfers. The eyes, they're actually the same eye, 3 different sizes. They're all from a optical publication that I got my hands on. And the tricky thing when you're combining different types of images for transfer is that the toner and the paper make a difference on how well something works as a transfer. So I did do, well, first I warmed up my plate by just doing some plain pulls to kind of get the plate warmed up and going. And then I did a practice transfer using the same magazine, using an image from the same magazine. It's not the best image, but these are gonna be, I'm gonna turn them into monsters since I'm gonna be posting this in October while I'm away. So I thought it would be fun to make Zendaya here like an elfin goblin Cyclops. This one I'm thinking a vampire type, and this one I'm thinking vampire also, but we'll see what happens when I get going. So let's start with this middle one. Now, well, before we do that, I'm going to affix the eyeballs to where I want them so that when I put them down on the gel plate, they're going to stay in place. And I cut them down, like this one I left the eyelid margin there a little bit. This one I cut the eyelashes off completely. And this one I fussy cut around some of the eyelashes. So we'll see which style we like better. So this one, I'm going to stand up to put this on. And I can kind of like scratch out the leftover eyebrow once it's on the plate. So I don't need a lot of tacking. I just want enough to keep it. This one I kind of cut where her face ends. And this one, I'm just going to put to cover her eyelashes and make sure her other eye's mostly covered. So this would be fun. This would meet the prompt as is, just, you know, faces. But I thought I would just take it an extra step. And I think I'll use green for Zendaya. I'm going to use black for this one. And I'm going to use purple for this one. So let's start with this one here. I usually use, I often use the Liquitex Basics for image transfers from magazines. I didn't have any of the black left, so I'm going to use this Amsterdam one, and it should work. That's the one I tested here. So the trick is to not have it too thick, because it's actually a resist technique. So where there is dark ink, it resists picking up the paint, and where there's light color, the paper picks up the paint. So that's how you get your image. It's not really a transfer, it's more of a resist. I'd say the two biggest issues people have is putting too much paint on the plate. And the second issue is putting their magazine image down too long. So I'm going to just roll this out. This is my larger brayer. So that is probably too much paint. I'm going to roll off my brayer. And I'm going to remove a little bit. You want it kind of almost see-through. And it also depends on your environment, like how humid it is, how hot it is. So we're just going to push this down. And then you want to push out all the air bubbles. Because where there's a bubble, you might get a little blob of paint. Sometimes you can just sort of wipe it out though. And then you can check it to see how it's doing. That one, I think is doing pretty good. I'm just going to press it just a little bit more there. Let's see how this side is doing. I have to help this eye come off a little bit. I'm going to press that down just a little bit longer. Try to get a bit more paint off. So that's pretty good. I think that's all right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just draw in some fangs. So I'm going to draw like a little fang there and a little fang there to make her like a vampire. Now the other trick is if you're not picking it up right away, you need to let that dry before you add anything to it. Otherwise, you're just going to be smushing the wet paint. These yellow areas here, that's not a concern. It's just that I used alcohol inks on this plate, and this was the first time I used it on this plate, so it kind of discolored it in a blotchy fashion, but that's not a problem. So we're gonna let that dry. All right, so we'll see you in a few minutes. So it's pretty much dry. I think I'm gonna use a red Posca paint and kind of make her fangs kind of like dripping blood, just for, you know, just for fun, because why not? This is a Halloween, and then we can make it kind of like be dripping off of here. And then you have to let this dry too. So I'm just gonna, we'll just make it kind of gross for Halloween, you know, why not? Give it some color. So I'll probably just use white to pick this up. Gonna let it dry though. So let's just add some red. Okay. Ooh, maybe we'll put some red in her eye. It's gonna be blocked by the black a bit, but that's okay. Just give a bit of. So the nice thing about having your plate on an acrylic plate, this is just a sign holder, a flat one. You can turn it around and see how it's gonna look. So I kind of like the red in her eye. I think that's gonna be cool. So now we'll just let that dry and then we'll pick it up. So just look at this. I feel like it needs something more besides white. So I'm going to use a stamp to add some interest in behind the black. This is fluorescent pink. And I'm just going to use this silicone mat that I had used well, now it'll be a few weeks ago for jelly printing. I'm just going to use that to load up my stamp. We're going to just add kind of some areas behind here. I just think that'll be kind of cool. And her hair should be here, so I'm going to just pretend this is going around her hair. Okay, so that should be just a little bit more fun. We want this to be fun, right? Not so serious. Maybe we will just add a little bit of this pink to her eye too. And just remember to clean your foam stamps right away. I usually wipe mine with a baby wipe and then wrap them in a baby wipe, or I go to the sink and I clean them. Okay, so it's been a few more minutes and the paint is dry. I'm going to use metallic white, because remember in like the movie Twilight how, what was his name? The main vampire guy. I can't think of his name. He sparkled in the sunshine. So we're going to use the metallic white. I'm going to pick it up with the 32-pound hammer mill paper. And this is just regular copy paper I'm going to use as my brayer off sheet. So I'm just going to spread that there. And go ahead and use, this is my, well, I think I need a little bit more. It's better to have too much than too little. So I'm going to put This is my sort of 7 to 8 inch brayer. I think it's a 7-inch. And just gonna make it nice and thin. Brayer off there, put my paper on, and then you want to give it a full even press. This is a Speedball Baron. It's not super heavy, so you do have to press pretty hard, or you can just use your hands. It's not a big deal. Just make sure you get those corners. Metallic paints dry a little bit quicker than regular acrylic paints. So you want to give that really good firm contact and then let it dry. So it feels a little cool to the touch, means it's still a bit wet. So I'm gonna let that dry and then we'll pull it. Just mention when I made the little fangs, I just use this chopstick, which is blunt. You don't want to use anything sharp on your gel plate because you don't want to damage it. This is dry. Sometimes I'll use this USB rechargeable fan, so it gives air without giving heat. I don't like using heat on my gel plate. And we're gonna pull this. And then I remembered the vampire I was thinking of is Edward from the Twilight series. So here's our first print. So that's pretty fun. And I was thinking about the sparkliness of him, and I'm thinking maybe I'll add this dragonfly glaze to the skin, just to give it a little bit extra fun. Like I said, just because you pull your print doesn't mean it has to be finished. You can add stuff to it, right? I wish there was more definition to her hair. Maybe we could use some black stickles to give her, to pump up her eyelashes a bit. So I'm gonna, because her eyelashes kind of disappeared, so I'm just gonna give her some eyelashes here. There we go. Do that. And then let's give her pupil a bit darker. Oh, we could give her black lips. Let's give her black lips. So this is a modified transfer. So we'll just kind of give her, I'm just going to do the top lip and then the bottom part of her bottom lip. And then let's just give her hair, whoops, a little extra something. Give her a bowl cut. There we go. So that's our vampire Cyclops with the bowl cut. Glam rock. All right, so I have to put that aside to dry, and then I'll show them all again at the end. So that's our first one. I'm going to do the next two, like I said, sped up. I think, and I'll cut out the drying time. I think I'm going to tack down the eyes just a little bit more so that they stay put when I pull up. I don't have to pull them up separately. Okay, let's pull this Cyclops mermaid and see how she looks. The pan pastel will never fully lift. There's always a little bit left over there, which is fine. So here she is. And I think I'm pretty happy with her. You can see the copper. I could definitely add, you know, doodles in her hair and stuff like that, but I think she's pretty good. This one, and we're gonna make her an ogre color. So I'm gonna start with green, but I have to clean this plate off first. And the way to clean off the pan pastel, even if you do a ghost pull, you're not gonna get it all off. So I just use baby oil. Just be careful not to get any on my picture here. Bit of baby oil, and then you have to rub it like that. And then I don't know how I'm going to colorize her until I see how the image transfer does. So when I started this one, I didn't know she was going to be a mermaid until I did the image transfer. And when I uncovered her, she just felt very mermaid-ish with the purple. So we just kind of went with that. All right, so I'm going to clean off, and the yellow's going to stay there because that's from alcohol inks, and that is fine. Now I do want to wipe off as much of this baby oil as I can, because if I leave it on, it's going to make the paint bead up and I won't get as good of a transfer. See where it wrinkled there, and then I didn't get a very even application. Last one. Excellent. So I went ahead and filled in all the little seed pods with the orange and the yellow to finish that up. So, and she feels to me like she's grumpy, like she has a headache. So I called her an ogre-sized headache. I also used the paint pens to put a bit of scribble scrabble around the outside of her hair. And I could definitely add more details, but it's just going to live in my Halloween journal. And then this is the finished mermaid. I'm calling her Mistress of the Deep. And she's got some shimmery aspects to her. I could put more detail in, but there again, just going to be in my journal. And this one I called Vampirella. And you can see the stickles on there have dried. She's kind of like a black and white colorized late night movie star. And you can even use like the ones with the purple and the green. You could even use the leftovers in collage. The one with the black, unless you wipe it out right away, you can't really use it again. So I hope you enjoyed my mixed media monster mashup. I think that's what we'll call this video. Thanks for watching and happy Halloween. Bye-bye.